Good day, my friends. Welcome to episode 21 of the Seablock. I guess today I'm finally going to activate this whole generator array. I spent some time preparing, as usual, and thinking and preparing and thinking. And between that, I noticed that I had a lot of LJ farms available at this moment. And so I did some calculating, and I figured out right now with the amount of LJ farms sitting down here, these are 90, I'm able to sustain 3 whole production chains of the new recipe. So, considering that, I felt like amping up my power production would be way to go. So I prepared a lot of transport belts and a lot of inserters, and I don't know how deep I can go with those megalomaniacal plans for real, because I'm quite limited. So I figure the smarter choice would be to go for an activation of this power plant here, and afterwards expanding my metal production somewhat further, and afterwards I'm going to expand this one here, because building all these assemblers is a quite annoying task, to put it into easy words, and building all these boilers and stuff is also pretty annoying. So what? These guys are just producing more hotter steam, and due to that, they're producing more energy, and thus they need more fuel. If I get that correctly, these things will do nothing, will produce more energy because they need more fuel. Please correct me if I understand something wrong here. But ultimately, I want to have the MK2 arrays as well. So that makes me wonder how smart would it be to expand brutally in the MK1 technology. And after I did some more thinking, I figured a complete expansion into MK1 is quite okay. Because for the MK2 gear, I would need such insane amounts of steel. I mean, 20 plates per steam engine, 21 almost. That's insane. It's not going to happen anytime too soon that I'm going to achieve such numbers of steel. So I quickly abandoned this idea, because that was not really a smart move. I mean, that would not be a smart move. So I'm going to stick with the MK1 technology, and I think with the power I'm going to generate with all these LJ farms I'm having right now, I will be ultimately able to produce some decent amount of steel to swap over to the MK2 technology. I mean, I would need a quite big amount of extra fuel as well, so that's another point. Alright. So I'm expanding this area here because I already had some plans in mind. I'm going to elaborate this a little bit further with the numbers once I'm finished with placing down the ground here. So we're going to produce quite a big number of green algae, and that's why I spread up the algae farms. But not only the amount of green algae are going to be quite big, the numbers on the cellulose fibers are also quite huge. So I figured that I'd also have to split up the assemblers a little bit, because as a matter of fact, we're producing 22 cellulose fibers per second. That's too much for a yellow belt again. So early in the game, managing my resources like that. Alien artifacts. Okay, these come unexpected as well. Alright, let's go. that should be enough room. So now let's elaborate this with some numbers. So this step is already built. I have set up the array to produce the green algae and the array to produce the necessary amount of carbon dioxide as well. So next step is to refine those green algae into the proper amount of charcoal, which results in this big monster here. It's going to be 31 assemblers and 7 furnaces. Let's go. I'm going to craft the furnaces. That's the smallest thing to do. And from here on, I'm going to explain a little bit deeper. So the cellulose fibers I will split into 3 arrays of 6, because we're having an input of 44 green algae. That's basically 45. 15 items per second on a yellow belt. I guess these numbers are quite simple. After that, we're going to have 22 cellulose fibers, which will be chipped into wood pellets by 11 assembly machines. And after this, the whole rest of the party will get quite easy. So the hardest part will now to be to find a solution for the cellulose fibers. So my idea was to just drop down 6 of these guys to the floor and go for the cellulose fiber recipe, and I'll just check out how much these guys will produce here. So we're going to have an input of 15 and an output of 7.5, so that's half a belt. Wonderful. So I'm just going to have a nice 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's actually going to be quite simple. Yeah, why not? What's that belt here, though? Well, let's remove that. Okay. So this is the first part of the array, where we're going to produce the input of these 2 ponds here. Oops, outputting into this direction. Wonderful. So these are going to be 15, and I'm figuring that we're... there's a lot of open space left here. Okay, because I'm just realizing that I can do most of the production down here. But should I do that? Do I need to do that? No, well, whatever. Okay. Let's just do it like this. I'll just set up the first 2/3 of the array now and go for the last third later. All right. So I'm going to grab this stuff and just okay, I guess this was the belt I had running there before, but going to take this path here so I can avoid the usage of a underground belt. I really start trying to cut my expenses in this mod. I love it. I never did that, actually. Usually when I play Factorio, I like to spend big and don't care about being inefficient with my behavior. This is something completely else. Okay, so we have this all set up and running. We need a third one. So let's just grab that stuff and let it run over here. Why not? I mean, no, we can't fit in 6 of them here. I want something efficient, you know, something beautiful. But I don't have the room here for, yeah, whatever. I'm going to let this run like that. So here's the idea. going to take this up here, and now I'm going to drop down the 6 machines here. Oh, I totally forgot. There's something I should keep in mind with this mod. Since I'm always needing such stupendous amounts of assembly machine, no, inserters, I'm going to set this up a little bit more spacious here, because I am still stuck with those tier 1 poles, and this way I can avoid the underground belt fiesta that tends to happen these days. So let's go. No, it's too narrow. Let's go like this, because I really don't like that. So this scenario, I'm going to run the input belt just behind those guys here, and their output will be going into this direction. So ultimately, I'm going to let the oh, well, let's just turn it around here. And maybe we're going to let that run down here. So I'm going to relay the whole fuel production chain to this spot here, if possible. Okay, so here we're going to use an underground belt because I can't really avoid it easily here. I mean, I don't want to be like super crazy about the optimizations here, but okay. So these are going to be the lanes where the cellulose fibers will be running along. So now I'm going to need 11 of those. So if I divide those by 3, I'm going to reach something about, well, between 3 and 4. So I'm figuring that 8 assemblers will be doing the magic we're needing here. I'm just assuming. I don't know if I'm going to be correct with that. If it doesn't make, if my rambling doesn't make sense yet, it will. Don't worry. So we're going to drop down these guys like that. And obviously, I need to expand my little island here. That didn't come too unexpected here. And another 2 of those. And now I'm going to configure those guys here, because I actually deleted the recipe back there. Alright, so these are the cellulose fiber fellas. Everything here is so freaking intensely complicated. I love it. So next up will be wood pellets. So here we go. Let's see how much cellulose fibers these guys chunk per second. 16, that's too much. So I'm going to crop off one of them, and that's now 14. So, right. The overall amount is 11, so I'm going to drop down 4 more. But before I do that, I'm going to do this, because the 4 guys will be running over here, getting fed by the other belts. So let's check out how much they need per second. So they'll need 8 per second. Of course, no chance this whole thing could be easy or anything. So it's not an even... I have an idea in mind. So first off, I'm going to feed this stuff over here. So there goes the next underground belt. And we're going to feed this little monster like that. So how many inserters are needed for one of those machines? Let's check. So we're going to need an input of 2.4 basic inserters, or that's perfect. So the basic idea will be quite simple. I'm going to let this belt run past this array, and it's going to go into this direction, and it ends here. So basically, this machine here will get the left-offs from this machine, and we'll get the rest here. This should be roughly working out, I hope. I don't think that I have any chance of doing it really better. So now we're having what? That's 7, that's the 22. Alright. So I keep looking up this stuff. This is basically also something like a notebook for me. I use the Helmod actually as a lot like a notebook, because in mods like these, the production chains just get too intense. To manage them without some tool is of course possible, but I think I would be sitting here with some sort of real notebook, or at least some squared paper, because micromanaging that stuff sure becomes tedious. Alright, so we're now going to set up another underground belt, because next up is the furnace face, isn't it? No, we're still needing the wooden blocks. Okay, so I'm going to drop out the wooden blocks over here, and quite a simple construction. There we go. Okay, so wood blocks, I guess. Wood bricks. I'm sorry. Okay. And after this follows the furnace action. So 7 of those buddies, doing the same here, leaving a gap between each to make the connection of the inserters easier. Alright, but after this, it's done, friends. This is the power cord, which will connect our new power plant. I'm running this pretty close to the border, because I don't know how I'm going to arrange myself later. Alright. Now another underground belt, please. And finally, we're almost there, friends. We're almost there. So let's start doing the inserter madness, and then, wow, I guess I won't be ever producing power arrays with so much sweat and hard blood ever again. Well, at least until I hit another even worse challenge. I don't know. I always considered myself as a gaming masochist. I gotta be completely honest with you, my friends. I really like games that are mean and rough to me. I don't know. I suffer for you, so you can just siphon out the entertainment. I guess that's a good thing for all of us. Okay, so we have here this output, and I'll just going to need... I think I'm going to use a lot of the red inserters here, because honestly, oh no, it's no good. I'll need 3 of the yellow ones anyways. So, okay. So wherever we're producing this stuff, we're needing 3 yellows on the input, and I'm going to use 2 yellows for the output. This is so insane. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the yellows. So, okay. Sure. Why not? It's okay, Seablock. Alright, so we have to repeat this utter insanity a few more times. I'm not entirely sure if I have enough inserters for this endeavor, but I'm going to try. I always bring not enough inserters here because I just keep underestimating the sheer amount of inserters here. Okay. No way. These will never suffice. I think I'm out of inserters already in this column here. Oh man, this madness. Alright. No, I was able to finish that column. At least something. So, turns out it wasn't wise to shut down the inserter production at all. I didn't expect to run that short with 112, but yeah. Obviously, I would have needed like 200 or more. Who would have thought about that? Only true Seablock veterans would have foreseen my foolish move. I'm also researching weapon shooting speed at this moment because I felt like I've met some biters out in the sea, and I felt like kicking some biter butt later in the game. All right, so I'm going to start handcrafting a little bit more because I haven't pre-produced anything. Let's just take care that I have enough of the circuit boards available. Let's just pick up all of them, and let's go into a crazy inserter production spree. Handcrafting is a real thing in Factorio. Oops, wrong mod pack in Seablock. Okay. I sure spend a lot of time with Factorio too as well, though. So, weapon shooting speed, that's done. We're starting to run out of technological choices with a tier 1 tech. Also feels pretty good, I think. It means to me that I've hit the borders of the tier 1 tech. It's also something good, I think. Okay, so we've set up the cellulose fiber production. Next up is the wood pellet. I'm going to use red inserters here. I mean, it's 3 basic inserters or 2 red inserters. Well, whatever. I'm going to use the yellows. It's just I would be needing another batch of red-handed inserters, and I don't want to go into another production spree here. I just want to get done finally. Seriously, I don't know for many hours how I'm tinkering around with the second power array. I wasn't believing it, how much pain this mod would be when it comes down to power production, but whatever you think Seablock is, it's worse. Okay, there we go. But for this one, I'm going to produce the red inserters. So we're going to, configure them to a narrow configuration. Oops. Copying these as well. There we go. Okay. Now then, last but not least, we're going to have another input-output scenario. I just hope that one of those guys will be sufficient. And now, the last thing left to be done is to turn on the power. I mean, right now I'm not going to be able to sustain the demands of this array there, and thus I figured I'm going to shut down my my northern side of the factory, basically. At least I thought I would. But obviously, I did too many connections. So, where are those guys connected at? I mean, seriously. Where can I cut the cord? So I guess if I cut this one here... should be shutting down a lot. So yeah, that did the trick. Now I shut off everything I wanted to shut off. Alright, so it's a little bit spooky, isn't it? But we're still quite in a good spot here. I just need to I don't know. How am I going to show myself that I need to do something here again? Let's put down something unusual. Let's put down a flare stack where it doesn't belong. Alright. So now I can keep working. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not going to over stress my other array. Whoa. I'm out of wood bricks. All of a sudden, because that could be quite fatal for me. Or not fatal is maybe a little bit of a strong word here, but it would make a lot. It could produce a drop in my fuel production, and things like these can turn into chain reactions. So it's a moment where your factory is not producing enough fuel anymore because the machines are not running on full efficiency, and this can turn into a cycle of doom where you have to turn off areas of your factory until you're hitting a certain spot of energy production. And if you're still listening to me at this point, I guess you can at least figure out that it's going to be way more complicated to fix that compared to just cutting down some power pole and remembering somehow where to plug it in afterwards. It's just my thought about that. There we go. Oh man, that's so many power poles. Driving me nuts. So, I'm not having these pipes done here. It's a little bit embarrassing, don't you think? So, there we go. I'm going for the error hunt later. Bug fixing phase will be later. When building arrays huge like that, I'm not stressing out myself too hard to do everything right while setting it up. If I don't have a blueprint I can't follow, which I'm absolutely certain that it's going to be correct, weird things are ought to happen at some point, because we're only human after all. So, whoa. It's going to be a little bit dumb if I do it like that. I have to do it like that. There. So, giving these boys the power they need, as you can see, is consuming a lot of power poles at this point. I don't know how many I've already spent. Don't want to do it like that. It's better. I mean, at least Seablock allows me to stay quite reckless with the regular power poles. I'm quite happy with that, because I would certainly be sad if I would have needed more efficiency here, and I totally forgot outputters here. So that's a no-no. Alright, so I'll need only one if I go for red-handed inserter, long-handed inserters. Wonderful. So let's do this. Still had the configuration on paste. So there we go. Next up will be connection of the algae farms. There we go. So Where's the water? So the water current connectors are all set up, but they're not carrying any water. How so? Oh, I see the mistake here. So, are we now having water here? Oh, here I did the same mistake. So, now it's just exactly what I said. It's, we're prone to make mistakes at some point. And the flare stacks aren't powered up yet. At some point, it's human nature to do some sort of mistake. There we go. So these guys are all working. Oh, I turned off the wrong spot of my factory. After all this talking, you probably were sitting there and laughing because I did such a grave mistake there. So, as you can see, this is a fully fledged power outage. This is how it looks like. So we're only getting out of that by powering up all the machines at once again. So, do these guys... So we're completely out of power now. It's just happened. Luckily, I'm having a few wind turbines, so... I wish I could say I did it on purpose, but I didn't. So, I'm completely out of fuel here at this point. This is your worst case scenario. I kind of like destroyed myself, but it's going to be okay. We're having some plan B here. All right. Man, that was stupid. It had to happen at some point, you know. It had to happen at some point. So we're now setting up some very primitive basic support of power here again until the reproduction is starting to work out. So I'm going to need some fuel. It's going to be the most important part, because I'm not entirely sure if my keen plan here will be successful in producing enough power to get my factory back up rolling. So I mean, it's a wonderful I produced a wonderful example case for what can happen if you run out of power completely. Well, but it's cooler when you do it on purpose, you know. But whatever. So let's check. I'm just dropping down the turbines here until I either run out of space or out of turbines. And afterwards, I'm going to check out if we're getting anything done here. So basically, I think... yeah, the inserters are offline, so... Oh, look at that. The first few are getting set up again. So now we're going to see if this situation is going to stabilize itself or not. I'm not that fond of it, so... I'm picking up a few pellets myself to hand feed the machine a little bit. But I think the best thing to do will be to just pluck down more of those guys. So I'm going to do this like that. And let's repeat this on this side. So, unlike the first time when I was fiddling around with the wind turbines, I'm trying to use some sort of pattern which makes some sort of sense. So, here we are. I'm just leaving one line between each cluster. Alright. So I'm pretty sure the crisis will be over any moment. So we're producing a little bit more power now. But yeah. Ultimately, everything will be just fine if I get all the wood pellets back into the machines. And probably I want to turn off this side of the array as well. So this all happened because I did one grave mistake when I tried to cut off the power supply of this side of the map. I didn't recognize this as my power plant, and that was quite silly. So but in this cable jungle, it's honestly quite hard to recognize which are vital parts of your factory and which are not. So in this kind of scenario, I really like to go for the collection of a few wood pellets and try to kickstart the situation after with your savings, basically. And this time I'm going to grab a few more savings by plundering the production here completely, and well, kind of like letting it run out now on purpose, just to grab some more fuel, just so the next time I'm going to produce more, a longer supply of power. Also, I'm going to produce a few more pellets by myself. Oh man, what a wonderful start into the new array here. That's exactly how I imagined it. Not. Whatever. Let's go for this. Let's check out. I mean, at some point it's going to stabilize itself. I mean, we're also producing stuff down here. It's just not through the pipelines yet. Okay. But I'm going to shut down this side of the factory, I guess. If I can, that is. I mean, let's check out if we're actually producing something here. These guys are not having access to mineralized water because I'm not having any input here. Wow, that really didn't turn out too well. So I guess I'm going to have to spend some time fixing this. I mean, it's not really terrible. Don't get me wrong. It's basically a annoyance, but no, wait a sec. That's wrong. This liquefier needs crushed stone. What did I build there? I tried to feed the liquefier with a... I built that one the wrong side, I guess. Oh my goodness. This is quite terrible. So I'll have to fix this immediately. Oh my god. So that's where everything went wrong. Huh. So first step is going to be cutting off this wrong thing here. Then we're going to set this up like that. I mean, it's perfectly fixable, I mean. But I guess I'm going to feel this mistake for quite some time. But whatever. So let's power these guys up. And check out what'll happen now that we're actually producing something down here. Oh my goodness. So that's quite a terrible start, isn't it? I'm going to set up something else as well. So made a decision about this. Going to connect this like that. There we go. Now I can drop this here. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be better if I have another situation like this. Alright. So, how's the power production? Getting better. So it looks like we're actually starting to counteract our shortage here. Oh, so... well, I guess I did a wonderful example on how not to do it. So I consider myself quite proud about that. So friends, here you have it. Icon's guide on how to not expand your power array. Jokes aside, I should be stabilizing at some point here as well. So let's stop this thing from producing wood bricks. I'm not entirely sure if I'm really going to stabilize on my own here. But let's oversee this situation here. So he's not suffering from any output shortage here, even though... Okay. I mean, I can also go for a connection like this. Why not? So nobody's showing me any red lamps here, so that's good. These guys are getting through their first batch. Okay. Check those out. Okay. So they're using the wood they grab as fuel at the same time. That's really brilliant. I like that. Okay, so we're soon be seeing things turning back to normal, I think, because now the other side of the fuel production kicks in quite soon. I'm going to do a little bit like something. Alright, so my friends, you're now seeing how everything turned out. I'm pretty positive that we're seeing that we're getting things done from here on. Okay, I'm a little bit embarrassed that things worked out so badly after all this planning and all this preparation. I really thought I had everything under control, but oh, how wrong I was. Anyways, friends, let that be a lesson to you. Feel free to drop me down a comment down below. Tell me whatever is on your mind. I'm always curious, and apart from that, I would be super happy with some support from your side on this video, be that a like, a share, or even a subscription to my channel. Any of these would be making me super happy, but do whatever feels good for you. I'm not forcing anybody here. I just hope you enjoyed your stay and you're coming back again, even though I'm always talking about this stuff at the end of the videos. So enjoy your time. See you guys next time. Bye bye.